Well, we're getting near the tail end of the campaign. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Charest.
Thank you very much. Delighted to join you. Thank you.
So I really appreciate you coming on one more time. I imagine you got to be getting tired. It's been a long haul. You're getting into the final 3 weeks here.
We are, and it's been a long race because we've started early on, and the first phase was recruiting new members. That finished on the 3rd of June, and only those who are members as of the 3rd of June are eligible to vote. We now know there's 678,000 of them. It's very impressive, all-time record. And now we're in the second phase of persuading people and getting them to vote, Corey. This is a challenge because it's a mail-in ballot. It's a preferential ballot. People have to indicate their first, second, third choice. They don't have to indicate, by the way, a second or third choice. After they have voted for me, Corey, they don't have to fill in the rest of the ballot if they don't want to. And then they have to send in a photocopy of a photo ID. So you can imagine, just the description tells you that it's a lot for the average person who has a busy life. They may very easily just set it aside. So we're pressing people to vote. Go out there and vote. The other part of it, Corey, that is difficult to read from everyone's point of view, including the media, is that it's 100 points per riding, not the number of members. So you could have 7,000 members in a riding, 100 points. 700 members in a riding, 100 points. And that's where we have focused our campaign to be as efficient as possible. So it's all about getting out the vote.
Yeah, and getting out the vote, whether it's for folks who haven't dealt with partisan races, it's particularly important in nominations and leadership races because people are selling memberships like all get out, but often people might not be the most motivated voters. The campaign that sells the most memberships doesn't always win. It's a matter of waking them up and saying, okay, come on, now you got to follow through and get that voted. And as you said, with it being a photocopied piece of identification and mailing it, the turnout's probably as hard as all of you guys are working on this is probably going to be a bit limited.
It will be forced, it's going to be a challenge. So we're working on that right now. Just add another twist to it. The Brown campaign, Patrick Brown was disqualified. His leadership, his organizers have all come over to me almost to a person. And we are now working with them so that the people that they had recruited, a lot of them in cultural communities, are voting, and that they'll vote for me. And we're very encouraged by that because they are voting. They are supportive of certainly my leadership, and they are not, to say it very directly, they're rather anti-Poilievre, and so they'll be voting. But we need to talk to them, mobilize them, and motivate them to vote. So that's what we're doing right now. And we have, by the way, until the 6th of September at 5 o'clock to get the ballots in party headquarters. And after that, all other ballots that come in after that moment, at 5 o'clock on the 6th of September, will not be counted. So more of a challenge for us to get out there and motivate people to vote.
So actually, that reminded me of something because it was so sudden, the departure of Mr. Brown from the race. Was his name still on the ballots then, or did they get it?
Well, the party decided to leave his name on the ballot because the ballots had all been printed up. Now, what's the consequence of that? If someone votes for Patrick Brown as first choice, or had done that, and indicated Jean Charest as their second choice, well, then that second choice will be interpreted as a first choice for me. So that's good, in that scenario. If they've just voted for Patrick Brown, no one else, and left the rest of the ballot blank, then the ballot will not count. I mean, there will be no consequence to that ballot. So that's it. It just adds just another color or layer to the complications of the race. But so be it. We're working hard to make sure that people understand how to vote and who to vote for. If they want a leader who can actually win the country, Corey, all the polling indicates that if I become the leader, I will form a national majority conservative government. If it's Pierre Poilievre, we stay in opposition. So that's very much the ballot question for a number of conservatives who are just tired of losing. I mean, we've lost 3 consecutive election campaigns, and it's not the Liberals that won them, we lost them, and that's enough, frankly. So now's the time to choose a leader who is going to unite the party, the country, and who will win a national government.
Okay, well, we're looking at, I guess, two scenarios that could be happening the day after September 10th, getting into the 11th and 12th. I'd like to kind of examine both of them. We'll start with the positive one from your perspective. You've won the leadership. You've taken September 11th as a break. I mean, to say that you are the one who can win the general election, that still means there's going to be a heck of a lot of work between that day and general election day, whenever that might be. What are your first moves as the new leader of the party?
I will hit the ground running on September 11th, the day after, in fact, the evening of, to talk to the other leadership candidates to make sure that they know that they're welcome aboard my team, all of them, including Pierre Poilievre. I will then meet with the caucus members and the leadership of the party in very, very short order in the hours and the days that will follow, to make sure that everyone knows that as a leader, they are welcome in my team, that we are going to be working together to prepare the next election campaign and to win that election campaign. And I'm not going to lose a day the moment I become the leader to do that. We need to prepare the platform for the election campaign. I can, tell you in advance, Corey, it's going to be very much focused on the economy and a national government able to deliver big projects and make big things happen. That's where I'm at, and that's what I've done all my life. And to unify that caucus and that party, and that's exactly what I'll deliver on, to deliver a national government.
Okay, and then I guess a priority as well, and it's hard to tell where, but you'd want to get a seat in the House of Commons as soon as possible. You're one of the contenders who doesn't currently have one. Is there an area you would have in mind already, or spots that look like they might become vacant?
Let me share a secret with you. I'd love to run out west. If there were a seat that opened up out west, I'd love to run out west. And the general election campaign, my of course, because of where I am from, and my attachment to the eastern townships of Quebec, of where I'm from, that's another story. But to get into the House of Commons as rapidly as possible, which is what I would want to do, I think it would be great to have a seat in Western Canada.
So if the outcome doesn't come out as you hope, and perhaps you're the second place finisher, I know it's hard to speculate, but what sort of approach to maintain unity and positivity for the party, could you be taking at that point?
Corey, I led this party when there were only two members left after the 93 catastrophic election campaign. And there was two. And I stuck around. I showed up. I didn't walk away from it. So that, anyone who questions my loyalty to the party, frankly, needs to remember the history and what I've stood for and what I've fought for all my life. I will remain a conservative because that's who I am. And those are the values I believe in. Those are the values that I worked with when I governed and formed a government. So I'll be there, and I'm going to remain active. And for the rest, the only scenario for me I see is being the leader of the party and leading us into a campaign and winning a national government.
Well, I appreciate that, because again, these races can be such good party building exercises, but they can also lead to a lot of fracturing and cause more damage than before they even began. So, I mean, maintaining a positive tone, I think, is really important right now.
It is very, but let's be honest here. If there's someone who's going to have a lot of bridges to fix, who's burned a lot of bridges, it's Mr. Poilievre. I mean, he's been calling, do we have to go through it, calling people liars and calling on their integrity or accusing them and not being conservatives or blah, blah, blah. I mean, as though there's purity tests, as though there's some laboratory in which we get tested. I mean, what do you say to the electorate when they want to vote for you? No, don't vote for me because no, don't vote. You're not a conservative. If we're going to form a government, we have to have an open mind and be welcoming of all those who believe in the same things we believe in and want to support us. And that's been my story. And all the polling says that. You look at all the polling says, I become the leader, we form a government. And I'm sorry to say, if Mr. Poilievre becomes the leader, we stay in opposition.
Well, so what have you got on your schedule for this final few weeks to get that vote out and encourage people to mark that ballot your way?
I just came off a week on the road. I was in Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia and the Toronto area, Vaughan, Hamilton, and Mississauga, Toronto. I'm heading to Quebec City tomorrow, and I'm going to be back working out of Montreal on Friday and Saturday, and then I'll probably hit the road back in Ontario next week. So it's going to be a very, very busy time. Tomorrow will be a very busy day in Quebec City. We're meeting with some of our members, supporters. We have a ballot events. We organize events, Corey, where people bring in their ballots and they can photocopy their ID, and we help them get that organized. And then we have a fundraiser in the evening. So it's a very intense, very busy period.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate you coming on to talk to us towards the tail end of the campaign. And well, I wish you all the best of luck. And we'll be watching with interest on the evening of September 10th, Mr. Charest.
Thank you very much, Corey. And Corey, could I ask you a favor?
By all means.
Could you vote for me?
I'm not a member, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Corey.
All right. Thanks.
You would. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Charest.